Oh my
Mr.
God.
Technique, I just watched you get all your angles, so I want to make sure I'm with the
The
program.
angles, eh?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
Deon, what's up?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
So we're in the building of adrenaline.
Yes.
Yes.
We're at 716 York Street, Adrenaline, home of Adrenaline MMA. Mark Hominick, Sam Stout, Chris Hordesky, original home of Team Tompkins, storied London tradition.
Yes.
One of the pioneers
Absolutely.
of MMA.
Absolutely. You know, I went to school with Sam Stout, right?
I did not know that.
Yeah, but I never knew who he was
Yeah.
until I saw him in the gym. I don't want to give like locations per se, you
Yeah.
know, the world's listening and things like
That's
that.
it.
But he was walking in front of me, shirt off. This was like in our 20s. He's like, yo, Rory, what's up? I'm like, wait, you recognize me from high school? I didn't even, I was like, bro, I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? And things like that. But shout outs to him. And I'm glad that you're working with those guys too.
Yeah, I mean it's a privilege to be in a place like this, to be able to be in an atmosphere. You know, this is a world class facility.
Yes.
I'm just lucky that I can go from being a member here to being someone that contributes to what they're trying to accomplish.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So, StrongHouse Performance.
Yes, sir.
You the man, the myth, the legend. Hayabusa.
Yep.
You got promo with them guys, collaboration with those guys.
Yep.
Let's talk about you first because
Absolutely.
I remember I'm training for the charity boxing. You walked in the gym. We've been following each other on Instagram, all that great stuff. And then it's just like instantly clicks energy.
Yep.
So talk to us about who Deon is.
So, I mean, what you just said there is how the majority of my relationships are. You see somebody, you see what they're about, and you match up with the energy. You don't have to pretend. It's natural. And I value those types of relationships. It's how it's how I've approached business. It's how I've approached training. Because I think, at the end of the day, people have more in common than they have different. And we need to lean into that. We need to recognize that, celebrate that, and create wins. So that's sort of me in a nutshell. I do that in different venues in my life. I make mistakes like everybody. I try to learn from those mistakes. And that's something that I try to bring into my family as well, to say, look, no matter what your titles are or where you've been, you connect with the person, you figure out who they are. You ask them, who are you? Just like you did to me, and you listen to them. You listen to their story, and you develop something.
I like that. You're so cool, calm, and collective. Where does that come from?
I think, it comes from, a lot of it comes from hardship. It comes from challenge, and it comes from knowing that you can overcome that. I think experience is the best teacher, and the more people that you can meet, the more experiences that you can have that push you to grow, it creates this quiet confidence. And I think as people, we can tell when somebody has that, but we can also tell when somebody doesn't have that and has to act overconfident.
Ooh.
So I think
It's buzzwords right there. Overconfident.
overconfident.
Okay.
Yeah,
Speak on that.
it's a good question. I think overconfidence is, it comes from a place of insecurity. I'm going to use martial arts as an example.
Here we go.
For me, the biggest thing with martial arts has been to gain a true sense of confidence. That doesn't mean that I'm elevating myself above others. It means that I'm aware of who I am, what my limitations are, and also what my strengths are. And also the pathway that I need to take to be who I want to be. If I can line those things up, I could be confident in knowing that in the interactions that I have with people, in the decisions that I make, in the words that I use, they come from a place of knowledge and they come from a grounded place. Doesn't mean I have the answers. It doesn't mean, everything's easy, but I'm aware of that. And if I can have that, I'm confident. The overconfidence may come from a place where you think you're in some place you're not. Martial arts is a great example. You come to jiu-jitsu, you come to wrestling, you come to boxing. You may think you're up here. Somebody will humble you right away.
Talk about that.
You
yeah.
will
So true.
find somebody who is faster than you, that is stronger than you, that is more experienced, that will humble you, that will
Facts.
take that overconfidence away. But the beautiful part about it is is that can actually bring you to a place of true confidence.
Yep.
Hey, maybe I'm not the guy I thought I was. Maybe I have to look myself in the mirror and reconcile that fact. But in doing so, you get a better understanding of yourself. You carry yourself differently, and you recognize that other people are also going through this journey. Other people, some people may be ahead of, maybe some people are behind, but everyone's on this journey. And part of figuring that yourself, I think you can see that in others, and you can help others get to that point too.
I love that you say that you speak on the area and expertise of martial arts. It feels like that, just a little piece there was more like, remember when Bruce Lee was talking to that gentleman at the desk,
Yeah.
black and white, and he says, be like water. Water can flow, water can crash.
Yeah.
So for the audience that's watching and listening to this, I hope they really get that, because that's what it felt like. And that's what's landing for me and things like that. So I'm glad that you bring up martial arts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those things it's a dynamic process. You're never going to get to a point where you're like, I'm good. I've done all the requisite work I have to do, and I'm good. Part of that journey is to consistently be open to challenging yourself, to getting better, to getting put in those situations where you're a little bit uncomfortable. Same thing with work and same thing with business. I don't think you're going to get to a point, or haven't met somebody who's got to a point and they're like, you know what? I'm going to take my foot off the gas here and I'm just going to coast, whatever. Right? So to be water, you always have to be, willing to adapt to what vessel you're in. And sometimes you got to crash and sometimes you got to flow.
I love that. Finland, right? You talk about Finland.
Yes, sir.
You speak, that's where you were born.
Yeah.
Things like that. So let's talk about that. Talk about Finland. Talk about, what you and your childhood was like growing up.
For sure. So I was born in Finland. I lived there till I was about 6. It's a central town called Kuopio. And if people who are listening speak Finnish and I were to speak it, you would hear a certain dialect. The same way somebody from Boston, somebody from New York speaks, you can hear it come out. So I was born there, lived there till I was about 6. My dad came from Tanzania. That's where he met my mom. And then we immigrated to Canada finally. But, Finland was a great childhood. I love my childhood. Some of my closest friends, I haven't seen them for years, but I still connect with them. It was definitely challenging being a minority, being a visible minority there. Things were a little bit different in the 90s with, being what someone would look at as an immigrant. So I got a lot of challenge early on, a lot of questions on race, about where do I belong. I was told, go back to where you're from.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was born two blocks down in the hospital. So
Disrespectful.
as a young kid, that's confusing. You think, what does this mean?
Yep.
So that was something that that from very early on, I had to negotiate. And to kind of bring this back to what we initially started talking about, martial arts and the confidence piece, it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I discovered, martial arts, and I surrounded myself with these people. That was actually a big healing process for me, overcoming some of the stuff that happened, fights, getting picked on, getting singled out. You carry that anger, right? You carry that, why didn't I stand up for myself? Why didn't I do this? Part of why I'm so passionate about what I do in the gym and with the people and with martial arts is I recognize that it has utility that goes outside of just the physical piece. There's healing elements of it. There's strong human connection elements of it that I really lean into. But, don't let me paint a bad picture about Finland, but I just have to be very real with you because that's a big part of it. In terms of the people are hardworking. There's a term called sisu, and it literally means grit. Okay. And if you tell somebody from Finland, sisu, it's have grit. It's like almost like an identity piece. There's great pride in putting your head down, biting down on the mouthpiece, getting to work, and working hard and outworking. That is something that I think is in the DNA of the Finnish people. And it's something that certainly had a big impact in me and growing up as well.
I like that. I like that you say that. I thought you were gonna hit me with like you jumped on skates, you skated on ice.
I did.
You got the stick.
I did, man.
They pretty big for hockey over there, yeah?
Pond hockey. So we were so up north that for 4 months of the year, it's dark. It's pitch black. It's cold. All the lakes freeze over. Pretty much the only thing you can do there: cross country ski, downhill ski, or play hockey. So I did all those things.
Okay.
I'm nice playing hockey.
You're nice.
A lot of people don't know that.
Like nice, like what? Like
I'm
a
nice.
crossover.
I'm nice.
Like Steph
I'm
Curry nice.
Yeah, there's a flavor to it. when I
Flavor,
play.
seasoning.
Seasoning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
It's dark though.
It's dark.
On a frozen lake and it's cold.
Just slap shots and backhands and
That's it.
dangle.
Yeah, I mean you got your pond hockey that you do in Canada, like that's the same in Finland. Like it's a religion there, right? All the kids, they hang their skates on the stick, they walk to the lake, they'll play for hours.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
So did you ever run into Teemu Selanne?
Actually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about
So
it.
these guys, I mean, in Finland, the two big things, hockey and race car driving. So we got the Formula One, we got the rallies, and we got the hockey players.
Okay.
They are like any place, you know, they're revered, right? But the relationships with some of these guys is there's a lot of pride in how they carry themselves out in the international arena. And part of that is bringing the values of Finland out, right? So again, a little bit more soft-spoken, but gritty. You know that you're going to get hard work out of them. You know that they're going to put, they put their head down and work hard. And those are the things I think that the public at least are most proud of. They say, hey, he's one of us and this is what he stands for. So I got to meet him in Helsinki. I didn't get to meet him like this, but I got to see him in Helsinki. He was doing like a hockey camp and walks in and, you know, you're having a fanboy moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's right there.
I love that. I love that. It's good things, memories and stuff like that. Community, collaboration.
That's it.
Because you're all about community.
Yes.
You're all about collaboration.
Yes.
Right? So speak on that, the importance.
The importance of community and collaboration in 2023, I think we need it more than ever.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of division, whether it's fabricated, whether it's real. I think at our core as people, we seek communication, collaboration, togetherness. When I started a business, I was very focused on the metrics of things. How much money? What's the overhead?
Scale this, scale that.
How do I scale? What words do I use? What's my copy? I think when you focus on results, you don't get change. But when you focus on change, you get results.
Okay. Preach.
All right.
This is a Sunday we're recording this too, yeah.
So
Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you look to help somebody, that is your business and that is your meaning, at least for me.
Your purpose.
You can create a business out of figuring out how do I help somebody. When you overcomplicate that, that's when it gets muddy. I think if you focus on that, especially if if your listeners are thinking, I want to start a business, I want to do something, or maybe I'm stuck, go back to why you initially started it, figure out that why. And at least for me, it always came down to collaboration. It came down to community. I see an issue here, whether it's individual or whether it's in the community. How am I going to help that? How am I going to fix that problem?
You think it's ego? Because I feel like for me in this space, like I'm a plethora of knowledge, right? And that's why when I do this podcast and I give it back to the community, give back to the guests, I don't like to be doing all the talking. I want it to be 80-20. And I think that what we see in business, yes, you have your corporational businesses, but when it comes down to like homebrew businesses in your communities and your cities, there's a lot of ego. I've been in ego-eccentric environments, right?
Yes.
So it's like I'm in a space now where I can say what it is I want to say and nothing will ever happen. And I say that through confidence because I think a lot of people don't like confident people that speak real. You get what I mean? So I feel like with what we see a lot of the times is there's a lot of egocentric people that get into business because all they want to do is scale 100K, 200K, 500K. I want to be 7 figures by such and such and such and such. How many relationships did you improve versus how many relationships did you damage?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
You see what I'm saying?
That is, yeah. And I think it's the reluctance to damage or the reluctance to speak your truth and do your thing that stops a lot of people in their tracks. I have a job in municipal government, so I'm aware of the red tape that people are under. I'm aware of the different pressures that higher upper management is under that sometimes the front line doesn't understand. And also the front line may not understand what, the upper management is under, vice versa. However, the amount of times that personal agendas and, like you said, ego gets in the way of actually getting work done, I can name off multiple instances where it gets in the way of doing that good work in the community. I think if you're starting your own thing, have in mind, what is it that I want to do? And then don't let other people stop you from doing that. I know that sounds
cliche,
cliche, but it's true. How many people stop because I don't want to upset my parents? I don't want to upset my in-laws. I don't want to upset my friends. I don't want to feel like I'm doing better than someone. Well, that's something that you're going to have to negotiate if you're willing, that's the sacrifice you're going to have to make if you're going to go after what you want.
And that's where I'm always like, fuck what other people say. You're going to have people that are not going to support your journey.
Yeah.
I've had that happen all through the 6.5 years. October 31st is 7 years of doing this.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's locked in.
Yeah.
And that shows the abundance mindset that by any means necessary. The ones that have always had something to say about, what you say, what you do, how you carry yourself on a pod, it's because they have their own preconceived notions.
Mm-hmm.
So I just listen to it and I just channel it. And I say, okay, we'll see what happens. Right? Because you then know who is your team, who's your community.
Yeah.
All my community, that's why I say I don't just operate out of London, Ontario. I look bigger, the bigger piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And I think people get that and they see that. So it's like they watch you, they see you on Insta, they may reach out to you, I want to jump on your show. But the thing is, do you have the ability to provide a communication pattern?
Right.
Do you know what you're coming on the show to do?
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to be, okay, like, I can tell if somebody's going to be able to talk.
Yeah.
Just when the energy with you, when you walked into that gym and I was hitting the bag, I'm like, this is going to be one of them episodes. But I'm like, how much do I really want to pull? Because we can go right off the rail. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And go crazy and stuff like that. So that's community and collaboration.
Yeah.
know?
I love it. And you know what? Like, I would love to do more of these, jump into topics. But
You got to be mindful.
you got to be mindful of
Know your audience?
too. Yeah. Exactly.
Know your audience?
Exactly.
Yeah, because they come for you.
Yeah.
Cancel culture.
Yeah. Can we go back to a time when cancel culture didn't exist?
There's no such thing as cancel culture.
No?
No.
What does that mean?
I believe that it's funny, you're interviewing me. I like this.
Yeah.
Cancel culture is people with preconceived notions and they just have their triggering patterns in life because they didn't go through the growth healing that they need to go through.
Okay.
That's just me. I'll keep it real. And I know some people hear that and they go, oof. The ones that are listening, oof, he's speaking truth.
Yep.
I think that when you have, let's say a podcast, you're going to say things that are controversial.
Yeah.
I said this on previous episodes. We watch all the sports debates. Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith all say controversial things, and they get flamed by the audience, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. So if you say something that's out of context on a podcast that people are just soft about, of course you're gonna get triggered.
Yeah.
Oh, you're this. Oh, he's that. Oh, and like, okay, but do you know me at my core?
Yeah.
Stop listening to maybe what, say for instance, dating episode. Your girlfriend, your wife, your fiance may hear me say something. She gonna probably press you on it, and then you get what? Upset?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm gonna reach out to you and get out of here. But here's the thing is, all my audience all react with me and they love it. You know what I mean? They want to peg me as, you're the relationship guy. I'm like, I don't want to be the relationship guy.
Yeah.
I want to be the universal guy.
You are the vehicle that brings out the expertise of other people. And I think you're positioned in such a good way that you can bring that out in people without necessarily having to like attach, this is my particular opinion and hot take on that. But I'm bringing the world this thing, and you take it how you want to take it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny that in 2023, one of the worst things you can do is offend somebody.
Oh.
Is you can hurt their feelings, right?
What are feelings though?
I know from where I work in government that you have to be very mindful of what you say because of the reaction that you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And where I get what I struggle with is when I have to doctor what I say away from the truth. I think and I don't do that, but I think people need to hear the truth. I think people need to be able to sit with that, whether or not they like it or not.
It's feedback, yeah.
But take that, think about why it triggers you, think about why it makes you upset. Chances are there's truth to it. Because if you didn't care about it, then it'd be whatever. Rory told me, hey, his favorite football team is this. I don't care. But if it's something that means something to me, it's going to get a reaction. And I think in today's day and age, at least in my opinion, we're too guarded. So when you get genuine conversation, it's refreshing.
And the genuine conversation is that I think society, parts of it is soft.
Very soft.
And it's doctored. And I think that you talk about tape, you got to pull that tape back.
Yeah.
And you got to sometimes look at different perspectives
Yeah.
and then come to one formulated agenda or opinion and then have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that you see it with, I'm not going to go too political, but you see it with like the whole presidential thing in America.
Yeah.
So many people, oh, Trump this, Trump that, this, that, Fauci this, Fauci that. And I'm just like, guys, do your own research.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you'll realize there's lies and then there's truth.
Yeah.
Then you got to find and formulate your own opinion.
And people are capable of both. It's not that one person strictly only lies. You may hate Trump, but you got to recognize he says some true things too, or vice versa.
Right?
So,
right?
anyway.
They might come for you now and say, well, you're a Trump supporter now.
Hey, listen, come for me.
MAGA hat.
Yeah.
Red hat.
You can find me 6 a.m.s here Wednesday, Friday if you want to get me.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? They're going to do the dunk tank?
You can find me on the mats.
Find you on the mats?
Find me on the mats. There's no politics on the mats.
There's none?
There are politics, but it quickly gets out of the way when you're training hard.
What made you want to go into jiu-jitsu?
The fact that I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, yeah?
My first jiu-jitsu experience. So I'm going to give a shout out, Nick Barden.
Okay.
Nick Barden is my first jiu-jitsu mentor. I walked into Adrenaline. I had boxed. I had lifted. I had done some things before. I had never done any form of grappling. I walked into Adrenaline at the old location back by Richmond Street there. And Nick, at the time, I think he was a blue or purple belt. He's now a black belt. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, good. Has he ever done jiu-jitsu before? I'm like, no. He's like, okay, I'm going to walk you through. This is how to shrimp. This is how to hip escape, all that. My first class, I rolled with maybe 130-pound woman, thinking, all right, I'm going to take it easy on her. I don't want to hurt her. She tapped me out probably 6 times. So after that, I said, you know what? I gotta learn this. There's something here. Because I went through the first one. Okay, she got me. Oh, she got me. I don't like this. I'm going to try a little harder. This is a little uncomfortable. She got me again. Okay. All right, now it's on. I didn't have an answer. That to me, I went home. I took the cold shower. I was like thinking in my head, what the heck was that? I thought I need to do this.
But it humbled you.
Yes. It continues to humble me.
Because, not to interrupt what you're saying, I think a lot of people think because men were physically stronger than women can still tap us out in a mat.
Easily.
Like, if I was going to say, for instance, spar with Calista Seals, she'd probably drop me.
Yeah.
And you know how many men would be like, oh, I can box her. I got strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when she gets in close and dings you 5 times before you even lift your hands up the block, what's going to happen?
Most people who've never been in this environment have no clue how quickly they can get finished, especially on the ground. You know, everyone's got a puncher's chance, but when it gets to the ground and you've never done that, and you're facing someone even with 6 months experience, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's difficult. And I learned that firsthand. I was humble and it continued. Like I'm a purple belt now. I've been doing this for a while. I'm continuously getting into this spot and thinking it's not going to be an easy day. You know, I'm going to have to learn. I'm going to have to get better.
I like that. I like that. Like how you said you wanted to grapple me one day.
Hey, listen, man.
But I turned it into like jokes and said that I might Zangief you. Like Street Fighter.
I'm fully prepared for the body slam that's to come if we ever grapple.
I love the humor. Holy. Do you watch combat fighting?
I do.
Okay.
I do want to have the time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
When people are listening to this that have never came into combat fighting, right? What's the first piece of advice you can give to them?
If
that could be boxing or MMA.
If they're looking to come into like a combat sport,
yep.
It's going to be difficult. It might be the most difficult thing you've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to, if you're going to the right setting, you're going to the right atmosphere, people are not going to be ripping your head off or your arms off, taking your head off. There's a big misconception from the general public that it's just men and women out there slugging their heads off. That's not the case. You know, I've been in commercial gyms. I've been in MMA gyms. I think the general vibe in a good martial arts place is a place of respect. The number one rule is take care of your training partner. right? And that goes across. You can go in any gym. If it's a good gym, they're going to tell you take care of your training partner. That means you're not going to injure them. You're not going to try to take their heads off. The people that come in with that mindset, they learn very quickly, this is not the place for you, or you're going to get humbled, right? This is not something that's long-term. So some of the best friends that I've had in my life, I've met through this. It's one of those things that, you know, you're consistently learning, you're meeting people. You know, you could roll with a lawyer, a policeman, somebody who's just fresh out of jail. The mats are a great equalizer. Skill is the currency here, right? You can't fake it. So to go back to the beginning of the conversation, your confidence, you can get a lot of confidence from being in a situation where it's difficult, but you're constantly rising to that challenge. I had years where I was just getting smashed. I hated it. I kept showing up, and then I started figuring out, okay, maybe it's not me, maybe it's my skill. So I started to compartmentalize that a little bit. Why am I weak here? Well, there's got to be a set of strategies that I can use. So I kind of take the emotion out of it and I apply more of a strategy to it. So to kind of long and the short, for people who are looking to get in, find that environment. Go to this gym, go to another gym. You will know when you've found that gym, because the people that you meet, the vibe that you're going to get, and then engage as much as you want to. For some people who are really hesitant, it's fine if you sit on the sideline and you just watch your first class. So it's like, okay, now I know what to expect. For those of you guys who want to jump head first, great, you can do that too. What you put in is what you're going to get out. And that's always going to be the case.
I love that you say that, because it brings me back to high school football. Never played. Gym coach was always like, come play football, come play football. I was like, get off my back. I play basketball, right? And I went out to one of the practices and I geared up, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right. But if you were talk about football, break football down and do all of that, oh, I'm there.
Yeah.
I tell you everything. Stats, I'm kind of out of that department, but I can tell you what's coming, what I see, who potentially might win this and all that. But at the same time, it's just like, you have to sit on the sideline and realize it wasn't the contact for me. It's just, I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not for everybody.
For sure. And I think if you have a family and you have a job, you have priorities in your life, you don't necessarily have to do something that you hate either, right? It's not going to be for everybody. Waking up 6 a.m., coming here and getting strangled is not going to be for everybody. I recognize that. I think it is good to experience that. At least hey, maybe I thought it was going to be one thing. It's this thing. At least I know now. There's certain things that I don't enjoy doing and I probably won't ever do. It doesn't mean, I'm not going to reach my potential. There's so many different ways to do that. For me and for the people that are here, you'll find that they stick to it, because when they do, there's more than just the technique that pulls them in. There's the community, there's the self-betterment. Obviously, physical fitness is a huge thing, and it's exciting. It's something different.
If there's one person in this world you could train with, who would that be?
Oh, wow.
Boxing, MMA.
One person I can train with. That's a good question. I don't know if I ever thought about that.
These are the curveball questions.
These are the curveball questions.
Yeah, I sometimes will throw fast pitches, but I come with the curveball questions.
This is good. Yeah. I think it would depend on the day that you ask me. I'm really into wrestling. I'm really into wrestling because I suck at wrestling.
Okay.
Tom Doyle, shout out to Tom Doyle. He's the black belt that runs the morning classes here at Adrenaline. He's a good wrestler, and we're kind of deep diving into wrestling. So one of the names that comes up is Dan Gable. He's kind of legendary wrestler. I thought you were going
to say Habib.
Habib was just, I mean, you talk about somebody who's
wrestled bears
and who's kind of had, in my opinion, mission accomplished on a MMA career, which is get paid, don't take damage, and dominate, And now it seems like he's done the coaching route. But if, somebody who has the mindset, who's got the coaching pedigree, who's got the, he's proven himself in the arena, I think Dan Gable, maybe he's one of those guys. So
I like that.
Dan Gable, if you're listening.
Dan Gable.
Give me a shout.
Yo, let me tell you something. Social media is a hell of a thing, yeah?
Yep.
You'd be surprised what's being seen, what's being shared out there.
100%.
It's not about looking at your metrics. Some people think it's all about the metrics.
It's not.
Sometimes people see your stuff. And how I found that out is a lot of these sports analysts don't think they're not paying attention to what's going on in the basketball world or the football world.
Yeah.
They take little talking points.
For sure.
It's weird. And you're like, wait, I heard that on some of these podcasts. They're listening. They're paying attention.
Yep.
They got people on their team that's okay. What's the competition? Because everything's competition. Healthy competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think competition's good. I think there's more eyeballs watching you than you probably know.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, than your metrics would suggest. But I think that's at least for me, like I don't have the largest following in the world, but the people who do, like I feel like I have good engagement with because they know what I'm about. And if they have things that I can help with, I'm trying to do that. It's difficult to do with 100,000 people. Like, can you really do that? That's when maybe
that's when you're formulated and you're programmed and you're paid
you become
to
a
do this.
business at this point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Let me flip it on you.
Go right ahead.
Tell me what has been your biggest take home in this boxing experience of yours?
Biggest take home?
Yeah.
Practice.
Biggest learning experience. If you had to say, in the last 3 months, I've learned this, what has it been?
I practice a lot more patience, even more patient, right? Because it comes with everything that it is you do, right? I do a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like when you go into that gym, it's not about how do I say this? Because I used to be a trainer also too. Pandemic season kind of ended all that. And working with two biggest of the gyms in the city here in London. One of the things I realized is that being on the receiving end and the work that I used to give to those clients in boot camps is now the same work I'm getting, but times 10, 10x.
Right.
The words of Grant Cardone, 10x,
Yeah.
scale up. So when you're in boxing, your hands are wrapped, you're hitting the bag, you're doing the burpees, you're doing the push-ups. And I realized how I was pushing people. I reflect and I'm like, this is what they were thinking.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, it ain't no joke. It ain't no joke.
It's not.
But what it does, you learn a next part of yourself.
Yes.
And I'm always about building off your mistakes. Heck, you go in, you do things, you're doing the drill work, you can get hit. It happens. So sometimes you take a hit, you give a hit. It just happens. That's the line of work, right? That's their job. That's our responsibility. But when you have a great staff, you got good trainers that actually care about your well-being, you then have that rewarding feeling once you're done.
Yeah.
And you're, on your way home and things like that. The thing I don't do is I don't decompress. And I decompress when I go home and I'm sitting there doing my stretching.
Yeah.
I realize now it's about decompressing at that time.
Yeah.
When you're finished sweating, and I sweat playing basketball is one thing. Sweat in the gym is one thing. But after boxing, bro, I'm telling you, bro.
Puddles, man.
Puddles.
My calves were sweating.
Yeah.
My calves were, I didn't think that was humanly possible.
Moisture, you know what I mean? But it shows me so much more and it makes you dig deep. I always talk about fourth quarter,
Yeah.
the Mamba mentality.
Yep.
It's something I've been carrying. Mamba mentality doesn't start unless you got the basketball. So what's your basketball? For you, it's MMA. For you, it's striking. For you, it's building this community. You have to be able to draw from something. All the way leading up to this, every show that I do, I know it gets much more efficient, right? And so many people are like, well, there's no script. There's prep. There's prep that you had to see me do, right? But there's no script. So how does he go into all this? It's because you study your person before. The little talking points you pick up. And some people are like, do you have like muscle memory? Yes, I have muscle memory because I know what it is to go into.
Right.
And everything flows into its, realm. But when you do something for 6.5 years, it comes like this natural.
You got your reps in.
So think about doing boxing for 6.5 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be like this.
Yeah.
That's when people see Floyd Mayweather doing the bag work. At 50, he's still great. I'm going to say something that's going to sound crazy. I still think Floyd beats half of the talent right now at his age.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
Everybody's like, Terrence Crawford. No, it's not happening. Floyd is different. You saw that. I don't know if you see when he sparred against Blueface.
I saw a little clip.
Right?
I saw a little clip. Yeah.
Blueface surprised me. when he was throwing some of the shots.
He's got a big frame.
Right? But Floyd, still 50. He's telling you he's still quick. He can still get it done. Yeah, you're going to be able to land shots on him if he really wants you to. But if he went in there and he turned up the heat, Blueface is out of there within like 30 seconds.
He's dictating the tempo. He's dictating where the fight goes.
Right.
If he wants to let you work, he'll let you work.
Absolutely.
If people forget, Floyd is a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Floyd wins.
Mm-hmm.
That is his thing.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to beat you, he will find a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing about competition and about sport. Competition in sport is not just about the laughs. It's not about just, smiling and hanging out. It's still a responsibility for you because you still have to go out there and perform.
Yes.
Right? I learned this from, it's actually crazy because I watch a lot of content and pro wrestling, for instance. And I know everybody has their reservations. It's fake. I was watching a conversation with Roman Reigns and Logan Paul on the Impulsive podcast. And what I loved is Roman said to go out there and speak in the mic, you have to know what you're doing because you have to see how the crowd's reacting. And on the fly, you sometimes have to just change up because it's like, is the crowd getting into what I'm saying? I want them to even create more heat, more energy, more this, more booze. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that he learned and he passed over to Logan. That's why you see Logan now kind of like, it shows better as it is. I don't listen to all the episodes depending on who they have on, but like it's, what I'm basically trying to get to is that you have to practice your certain area of expertise that you're in. Yeah. And it all boils into everything else.
Completely agree.
Boxing, one thing. Podcasting, next thing. Everything else leading up to it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I can relate with that too. Like when I first started coaching, I started at Revolution Conditioning with Murray Mountain and Tyler Doig. I knew the workout that we were going to do the next day because I had it on a sheet. And I would rehearse that. I would rehearse that like a movie script where I knew that this exercise would go to this one and this one would go to this one. I figured out, okay, the bottleneck is going to be here. They're going to make a mistake here. They're going to do this. I tried to put myself in the shoes of the clients. If it was a small group, I tried to figure out what cues am I going to take? Am I giving too much? I had it so rehearsed that when it came time to do that session, it was like I had done it before. Yeah. And it results in a better experience, even for content. It's smoother, it's better to listen to. But if somebody's on the receiving end of, getting coaching, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy can actually, I freed up that bandwidth of having to think what I'm going to do to actually listen a little bit better. And I've repped it out. And then it becomes like, I'm having fun now. I'm in my element. But that work that gets done before, the homework like you mentioned, is essential.
Trust me. Yeah. It's all about homework. It's all about studying.
That's it.
It's like you always have to just know what it is you're going into and find every which way to dial it in. You know what I mean? Boxing is just not about the cardio. It's not about the burpees. It's not about the jumping ability. It's not about any of that. It's about also a lot more. Yeah. Recovery. Are you recovering? Are you compromising your body? Right? So there's times now on my days off when I have them because they're like spaced all over the place. It's like doing nothing, really. Yeah. That's my time to where I'm sitting in my gaming chair. I may be doing editing or I'm watching content, but I'm not over compromising my body because what happens when you over compromise your body. That's it. Leads to injury. Yep. And then what does that lead to? You being out even longer. That's know what I mean? Yeah. And you get little nicks and ticks and this and that, but you figure it out. Yep. Figure it out,
Yeah, you got to listen to your body. Like, especially with boxing, like when I first started doing strength and conditioning especially for MMA, the thing that I saw a lot was that, you're doing wrestling, you're doing sparring, you're doing kickboxing, you're doing all these things. Where does strength and conditioning fit in all that? The goal isn't necessarily to hammer you further into that hole of overtraining or under recovering. It's a supplement. So if we have a pie chart and we're trying to get all these things, they have to all work together, which is when coaches need to talk to one another. The wrestling guy needs to talk to the kickboxing guy. The kickboxing guy has to talk to the recovery guy and the nutritionist so that, like you said, you're not overextending yourself. And I think it's so easy, especially, for people who maybe even in the fight to end event, who maybe haven't done something like this before. They've come off the couch or off the chair. I mean, you're probably working out and then you've just gone fully into it. And recovery and rest is an afterthought. It has to be factored in. It's just as important as your sparring and your conditioning because that's when you get better. And when you overlook that, Now you're not able to fight. Now you're having to take a week off.
Here, here comes the controversy here. That's why I say is don't overcompromise your body.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, do it well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're going to classes, go to classes. Put yoga in your practice, right? Put lifting weights, resistant bands. You know, I'm a Tom Brady guy.
Okay.
Tom Brady never touched a weight in his life. It's all been resistance bands.
Yeah.
That's why people wonder the longevity, right? Going out, doing this, doing that, overextending yourself. When do you have time to rest? Your recovery is going to be dog poop.
Yep.
So anybody that's doing anything with charity, if you're doing blue collar events, if you're doing professional, you gotta be able to get that body to rest.
Yeah.
If you don't rest your body, your mental's not gonna rest. If the mental's not rest, what's gonna end up happening? You're overworking, right?
And then you end up hating that thing that you previously loved, right? Yeah.
And then hating yourself.
Hating yourself.
You know?
You're miserable.
Yep.
I mean, you and I have been there probably before when you're overtrained, you haven't slept. I walk around like a cloud over my head. I'm miserable. I'm a dick. Like, you know, like
That's the thing, right?
I don't want to live like this. I don't want to, you know, and I understand that, like, you know, if you're going into a fight, you're probably going to be there. You're probably going to hit that. But that's short term.
Short term.
If you're thinking team long game, that can't be your baseline.
Can't be.
You're sacrificing all of these great things in life for a few better reps here and there. You gotta have the cost analysis. Absolutely. Is it worth it?
Absolutely.
Especially when you come home and your kids, hey dad, and you're like, get out of my face, I'm hungry.
Are you gonna be at the event?
I will.
Yeah?
I'll be there.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be there?
Of course I'm gonna be there.
As long as he recovers well and trains well, right?
I'll be fine. Trust me, I'll be fine.
I'll be there.
Did my op tell you to ask that question?
Listen, I'm impartial.
You're impartial?
I'm impartial.
You're not picking sides?
No.
You're not hitting your bet?
I'm not hitting the bet.
No?
No. May the best man win.
May the best man win.
Yeah, the one who works hardest, the one who does the extra training, the extra work, and then the one who shows up.
So they say.
You know, the one who shows up on fight night.
So they say.
Yeah.
But what was the will? It's one thing we didn't talk about, the will.
The will?
The will.
That's the intangible. That's the intangible. That's the one that you can't measure, really, right? You can see how many kilometers you're running and how much you're squatting. That doesn't always translate to the outcome. And what I want to, the thing that I try to, even with these sessions that we do on Sunday mornings, like, what is the goal, right? There might be multiple goals at any point. Our overarching goal here is to get to the fight and to be as healthy as we can and peak for the fight, because the fight is the thing that we're working towards. The fight is going to be chaos. There's going to be a ton of different variables and factors, but all this build-up work is to set you up for success for that day. Now, the harder you work, and I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, but when I coached the Beefeaters, right, the football team, I was anal about details for training, because when I would say, guys, run to the line, and they ran to 2 inches off the line, I didn't say run to 2 inches off the line. I said run to the line. And there's 30% of the guys that heard run to the line and they went to the line. The other 70 didn't. And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it comes down to preparation. I'm a big believer in the fact that we don't rise to the occasion, is we fall to our level of training. So when we train hard, we dial in, and it doesn't have to be like in bed every day at 9 a.m. or 9 p.m., whatever. It's, what is your intention? When we're here, we're throwing weights around, we're throwing balls around. I'm always saying, guys, what are we doing here? We are preparing for a fight. Why are we doing this particular exercise? We're doing this one because of this. I believe that if you train with intention, you train with purpose, with a goal in mind, come fight night, you are in the best possible situation that you can be in. And all of that is in your control. There's going to be stuff that's not in control. Your tire's going to blow, you know, your cat's going to pee in your bag, all that stuff. The things that you can control. Another pandemic.
Should I have said that? They're going to come. They're going to come now.
Whoever's listening in charge of that, no more pandemics, please.
Jeez.
If you prepare well, you put future Rory in the best possible situation to get there. However, you're going to have to believe in yourself that when the time comes, there's going to be an element of, I don't know what's going on. This is complete chaos.
You can curse. It's fine. Yeah? You can curse.
But, you know, I'm going to I'm going to fall back in all the heat of combat. I'm going to fall back to my training. And if my training replicated that, if I drill, I was surrounded by good staff, good coaches, good training partners, I'm in the best possible situation.
Absolutely. I love that you say that. It goes back to before we end. I remember I use a lot of references with sports and icons. And the reason why I do that is because those are people that have had to overcome adversity that we can also see within ourselves to overcome adversity.
For sure. I love that.
And Kobe, I understand he's no longer here. You know, one of the scenarios, everybody knows about the Denver situation. I'm not going to go into it. But what did he do? He had to travel from Denver to training camp or practice, or you want to call it, and then basically go to the games. And that whole month of February, what did he do? He yoked teams for 40 points. Why? Because it was his will. And it's not to throw shade of anything you're saying, but it was his will, because he probably was so pissed off that I have to keep continuously doing this. But he channeled it and he put it into the little valve. And he said, listen, I'm going to go out there. Doesn't matter from home or away. I'm going to yoke you for 40. Right? And that's that mama mentality. That's that instinct. Do you have that switch? Not everybody has a switch.
Not everybody has a switch, and not everybody needs to switch on. Not everyone's in that situation where they're going to have to do that. I think that's when situations like, a fight to event, it's great because it gives you that avenue to say, hey, here's my shot. Here's my chance to switch it on. Waking up in the morning, making eggs, I don't need to be switched on, right?
Hey, you?
Right?
I love it.
I go there.
With the blueberries too, right?
I have to with the blueberries and the hot sauce. Bananas though. Pro tip, bananas, good for recovery.
Yeah, bananas. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the will, like going back to the why, and I didn't really answer that question, but like the human will, the strongest thing on the planet. That's it, right? You set your mind to something, supplement it with bananas, right?
Yes, sir.
It's better.
And water.
And stay hydrated.
Electrolytes.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well, Deon, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Where can everybody check you out?
StrongHouse Performance on Instagram, on Facebook, the website, www.stronghouseperformance.com. If you want to get a hold of me, just click any button on that website.
Any button?
Any button.
Any button.
Any clickable button that says train with me or consult. Reach out in the DMs, reach out to Rory. Rory will kind of,
something like that.
Create the, but I'm here in Adrenaline. I'm at Boomers. If you can find me, reach out to me. I'd love to connect. This is how we got started.
Yes, sir.
I was following you from a long time.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yes, sir.
And how it happened was, hey man, props to seeing you. And one thing happened. So, if you can find me, come say hello.
Love and peace, my man.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right.